Hi everyone, it's Les from Comfortable Shoes Studio, and I was just asked a question on my YouTube channel about making my face blobs and the shadows on faces, and how to get them right. And the thing that I want to start with is the reminder that as humans, we are hardwired to see things that are roughly face shaped as faces, which is why, the standard smiley face drawing of, two dots inside a circle, and then, a C shape. We see that as a face. And I don't even know if you can see that on screen or not. But like because of this effect, we fill in the blanks of a face. So I'm going to go over a little bit of my blob technique and explain some of the sort of standard things that you see in a face. And I will try to put this picture on screen. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it. This is an image from Earth's World. It's one of their most recent images as of this posting. It's March 9th, 2024. So we'll see if I can find this one again and post it along with the video. So anyway, so this one of the things that you have to decide is where is your sun. So in the case of this image that I'll be drawing, the sun shape is over here, or the sun shape. The sun is over in this area, and it's coming down onto the face from an upward angle. So if we draw an oval, right? If you draw an oval, that's your head shape. That's just a generic head shape. And then you've got, the line for the eyes, and then where the nose is going to be, nose, and then mouth, and, chin would be there. So that kind of gives you the idea of where everything is going to be. So you've got the space where the eyes are going to hit will be, and I'm dropping them below that line a little bit. So your eyes, so here's one eyeball, here's another eyeball. Your eyes are about an eyeball width apart, and because we're human beings, nothing is exact. So no face is going to be exactly an eyeball distance apart. And then your nose is like what, an eyeball and a half. You relate everything to the measurements of whatever you're drawing first. So the other thing that you have to remember with eyes is that they sit inside a cavity. So you've got that optical cavity, which is basically like it fits within a skull. So your eye is there inside that circle, and then you've got another circle over here where the eye sits. And so for every person, that's going to that circular shape around their eye is going to be a little different. But what happens is you've got the brow ridge that is always above the eye, a brow ridge over here that's above that eye, and then down here you have the cheekbone. And these are on almost every person on the planet. So the cheekbone sits there, and then flesh hangs, muscles and skin hang off of that, generally in kind of a triangular shape, which forms your laugh lines here. And then, your nose has kind of a circular shape, and then the little nasal cavity, or your nasal, or what are those? Your nose holes, and then you've got that bit of flesh here, and then you've got the ridge that the nose kind of sits on between the eyeballs. All of these things cast shadows, and sort of wrinkles carve into and around where the muscles hang off the bones. And these are just guidelines. These aren't hard and fast rules. And then, here you've got, where your teeth would be. So you've got your jaw and your teeth, and depending on how many teeth a person has, or does not have anymore, depends on where, their lips would sit. And so underneath the nose, you've got that little foldy bit of skin. And this guy's kind of making a scowl that I'm using as a reference. So, and then the skin folds around those teeth and also around the bones underneath it. So, here's his jawbone. So basically, by understanding a skull, you can understand the face a little better. So, here's his chin, and then, of course, you've got muscle and skin coming off of that. So you've got the jawbone here, and that connects up underneath the cheekbone. And the cheekbone flares out, the orbital socket and cheekbone flare out and come back in. And then you've got the brain cavity up here where the skin hangs over. And then you've got the same thing going on over here, but because of perspective and how we're looking at it, it changes a little bit. This guy's got a cleft chin, got a little divot there, and his chin's a little less pointy. So anyway, this is how I figure out like how I'm going to make my blobs. My blobs follow these rules sort of intuitively because I've done a lot of portraits. I'm at a point where I can kind of figure out like where would these blobs be on most people. So, you've got cheekbone here. I made his lips a little too wide for this face, so bring that in, and then this will come down. And then again, the cheekbone, everything's in relation to everything else. So there I've got his face mapped out. And then so the ear on this person connects about to the side of his head, where the corner of his eye starts folding and you get those crow's feet. So you've got that little divot in the front of the ear. And then the folds of the ear. You got a little shadow there. I have a tendency to make ears too large for the head, and then you got the skull comes up behind and then around like that. All right, so how does this inform my blobs? All right, so looking at these things, I'm gonna use some watercolors here, and I'm gonna work pretty loosely. So I'm gonna be using a big old, if I can get it out. This is my new dagger brush. Sorry for the smashing and banging. The DPW has decided it's time to use dump trucks all the time, and they are moving stuff around. I don't know what they're doing. They're making a lot of noise. Just throwing a little bit of water in there. I've already wet all of my watercolors. I'm going to work in pretty bright colors so you can see that. I'm not going to mix colors. All right, so I'm gonna put down a wash of yellow, and I'm not gonna preserve any whites here today. I'm just gonna work it like a blob. So you'll notice that I am filling in basically an oval shape with this yellow paint, and it's lifting a little bit of that soft black wing pencil. That's all right. Just getting super vibrant yellow, and I'm not working too hard to get the colors exact. I'm just gonna let it flow around because the blobs are meant to be generic. So when I make a blob, I start with a big blob of wet color. I am going to hit this with the see if I can dry this out a little bit. I don't always work, I don't usually work with the dryer when I'm doing this technique. All right, so the thing to remember as you're doing this sort of thing is warm colors move to the front, cool colors move to the back. That is something, again, our eyes do automatically. So I'm going to use some cool colors for around his eyes and creating the basic shadow shapes. And I think I'm just going to go straight in with a pretty intense, I think this is a peacock blue. And I'm going to use the point of this brush. So what always happens with this is you get a darker area around the eye. So there's always this shadow underneath the orbital socket. So you have the brow ridge, the orbital socket, and so we're sort of in that area around the brow ridge, and underneath it you get a shadow. And then that shadow usually descends out a little bit underneath the eye as the eye hits the cheekbone. And then the same thing over here, because the sun is coming from this area, you're going to have the, again, the orbital socket on this side is going to be even more in shadow. So I'm putting even more shadowing in here. And this could even be a little more dark. So then let's tackle the nose. So the underside of the nose always has a shadow. And I'm not getting super detailed with it. I'm just putting in a line. And that is actually on the underside and around that, the ball end of the nose. I don't know what to call it. And then you've got the side of the nose, which has a shadow as well. And on this guy, we got a little bit of some folds around the eyes. That's pretty common as you get older. You get that kind of thought line, thinker's line. And then you also, at sort of where the nose turns up a little bit on some people, you get a little shadow here. And then laugh line. And these are things that you can capture generically. And then underneath the cheekbone is a shadow. And that's going to happen on both sides. So depending on what side of the face you have in shadow depends on where these shadows are going to land. So you also will have sort of the temple in shadow depending on the person and where the light's coming from. The shadow could be on the other side, but there's also, so this temple is also generally in shadow if the sun is coming from this angle. And then you'll have, again, underneath the cheekbone, a shadow as well. And then the chin often has a shadow underneath it, and sometimes there's reflected light that pops up on the underside of the shadow. And then for the lip, the upper lip is the one that is usually in shadow with one corner of the lower lip. And then oftentimes under the lip, there's a little bit of a shadow. Sometimes that divot between the two halves of the upper lip under the nose has a shadow. And then oftentimes under the ear, there is a shadow as well. So how do I put that together? The ear is also usually somewhat in shadow. So this is just a big, loose, washy mess, right? So I would put this together to make blobs. So that's just the general idea of the blobs. Let me tell you a little bit more. I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer. I'll snip that out so you don't have to listen to the hairdryer. Oops, got that a little scorched. Scorched the paper a little bit. All right. All right, so how do I put that together into my blobs? So let me show you. All right. I am going to, I think I'm going to do 2 on this page. I'll work them a little bigger. I'm going to go with a middle yellow, and I'm going to do an oval shape. You can make your blobs as rounded as you would like them. You can make them as oval. I'm going to make this one a little more round. And as you know, I have a tendency to work with bright, vibrant colors because I focus on vibes and not realism. I really try not to get caught up in the details. All right, so with that, I'm going to start with the shadows first. I'm going to swap out this brush. and get something a little tighter. So I'm going to do the shadows first. And I'm going to use that same shade of blue, add quite a bit of water to it. This brush does not hold nearly as much water as that dagger brush. All right, so again, my sun is coming from here, pointing this way, so I'm going to put just a stripe for the eyes and bring it down for the side of the nose. And you can do, so then I'll do the same thing on this side. And then on the underside of the nose, there's going to be another shadow. Underneath the lip, there'll be a shadow. And then under the chin, I'm going to bring this up into the face to form that shadow for underneath the cheekbone. And I am letting this sort of blend a lot. And you might not do that for your drawings. I mean, it's up to you. So then you could change up the color a little bit if you wanted to. Let's get a brown in here. I'm getting a little bit of brown in here for. Put the laugh line in. Put the laugh line in there. And I'll put the little divot over the nose just to get a little bit of a change in color. I'm going to put a little bit of a darker dark here on this side of the face. So that's the start of a blob. And then what I will do for a blob is I will add the cheeks. So I like to add a little bit of a pink purpley color for the highlight of the cheek. And again, just blobbing this on, and I'm letting the colors run. So since I have this all mixed, I'm going to start on the round blob that I made. And I am going to put the cheeks in first. So little circular. And you'll recognize some of this stuff from perhaps cartoons that you've watched, or you can take this and blend it out a little bit. And that, all right. So then I'm going to go back in with some blue here. And I'm going to do those orbitals. So remember, the orbital socket is above the cheekbone. So I'm going to bring that shadow area. And this eye, I'm going to do the whole eye area in the blue. And I'm going to bring down the shadow for the nose. And then I'm going to do the laugh line right away. And my blue, I notice, is getting a little too watery. I want these colors vibrant, so I'm gonna bring some more of that in. And it's gonna blend. I'm letting it blend with the wet pink. And I'm gonna do another, the orbital socket over here. And you'll notice that this is moving way too high on the forehead. My cheeks should have been a little lower, but you know what? Vibes, not realism. All right, bringing in a laugh line. And then under the nose, little cast shadow, that little I'm trying to get that circular shape of the nose. And we can come in with some pink as well. And then I'm going to put a shadow area for the mouth. And I'm going to capture that shadow that is around the face, the temple area in here, sort of the cast area around the jawline and everything. And just capturing that a little bit. And I'm going to bring some shadow in here too. And again, like none of this is going to be realistic. But when I put my ink lines over the top of it, that is going to bring this more realistic looking. And again, doing that vibes, not realism here. All right, so I'm going to bring a little bit more pink into the nose for this person. Because that's another thing that you'll notice as you make more images of people. There are generic things that happen to some skin colors. The cheeks will be pinkish. The tip of the nose will be pinkish. Sometimes the chin is pinkish. And this pink color, this purpley color is mixing with the green-blue to make a really nice dark. So I'm going to bring in some more of that over here. And these are all techniques that work when you're doing portraits as well. Like if you're working more with realism, all of these techniques work with that as well. So then on the forehead, there's often some pinkishness on the forehead as well. Little areas of dark here and there. And I enjoy letting these blobs just kind of merge with one another. So there we go. You get two different blob styles depending. So this is, the sun is, let me get some sun color here. Well, that's got just super red. Oh, no, it's kind of orangey. So the sun is coming from this direction for this head, and then sort of higher up for this head. So yeah, just some, little generic blobs to give you some ideas of things. I'm just gonna smear those out because I'm actually going to draw on this later. What I will do off camera is hit this with the hairdryer, and then I'll get painting. So yeah, I'm going to let it merge and flow, I guess. All right.